Scotland and England, folks, 29 points to 23. What an entertaining game that was. The Scots get it done away from home. We saw some lead changes, tries, no cards, happy days. Not so much for the English fans, but yeah, we'll go through some key events and stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. And I better get a move on because my kids are now awake and want some breakfast. No score in the first 10 minutes for this one. Scotland largely stuck in their own half, and it was pretty evident that, under Steve Poortvliet, this England side are going to put teams under pressure territorially. They're going to try and put a bit of boot to ball. Scotland early on, man, and throughout the game generally, played a lot of time in their own half. And, it sometimes puts them under pressure, but interestingly, I thought throughout the game it did see us see a shift in Scotland where they wouldn't kick it back all the time. Some of the times they were like, the hell with it, we'll just run it. And they actually got some good pay for it. But yeah, the England kicks downtown early. The first time England decided to really run it back, I think, at the Scots from a Scottish kick return was Ollie Hassell-Collins in his first game. And he got some good meters out of it, but he isolated himself and ended up conceding a penalty at the breakdown, which kind of led to Scotland's first try because it led to a Scottish line-out. Hugh Jones with the initial carry into some space from that line-out move, and then some phases. Schoeman had a good carry, and there must have been some Scottish fans there because they gave out the old Schoeman ooh chant when he got the ball. Eventually that Tuipulotu and Jones combo for club does the same trick for country because Tuipulotu puts through a little grubber, and Hugh Jones got all the time in the world to dot the thing down. So it's a 7-0 lead for the Scots, puts them in front. And interestingly, the Scots, for their first couple of lineouts, were quite determined to go long. I think the first one was the one for the Hugh Jones, initial break, worked pretty well. Second one was a wee bit messy, and they ended up getting turned over. So a little bit of a risky one, I guess, when you chuck it quite as far as they did. But good to see them show a bit of enterprise anyway. 20 minutes, we saw a bit of footballing skills from Max Malins, who ends up getting a couple of tries in this game. He ends up volleying a ball that he decides he can't get his hands to, and then shows some footballing skills to dink it through a second time. So England gets some ball in the Scottish 22. Chessum goes close. They get advantage, the English. They ended up knocking it on. So they backed themselves, though, which is kind of pleasing to see. You don't always see that in tight matches like this, but they go for a tap and go. They go through 15 phases, and they manage to kind of compact the Scottish defence until Marcus Smith puts in a peach of a cross kick for Malins, who's back out on his wing, and he doesn't even catch the thing. He just directly kind of grounds it. They had to check the grounding to make sure it was all good. He just directly forced the thing rather than trying to catch it and force it. So smart play from him. Missed conversion from Farrell, but 5 points to 7. Properly game on. Itoje gave away a penalty to kind of give a little bit of momentum back to the Scots. So the Scots had a line out on the 22-metre line, but Russell knocked it on. And to be fair, both sides will be not quite happy with the handling at times. Sometimes they were both a little bit guilty of knocking it on. But I mean, it didn't really matter for the Scots after that knock on because once the kicking play resumed, Duhan van der Merwe scored what was absolutely going to be, we're only early on, but a contender for try of the year. I know we've got a World Cup coming and there's going to be some peaches, but oh my goodness. How many defenders did he beat? Like 4 or 5? It's one of those ones where you think he's going to get tackled and then he beats that guy. And they're like, okay, this guy's going to get him. And he just keeps going and he just keeps going. Like he wasn't even at full tilt because he was having to kind of break tackles and evasively run. Like he wasn't just full steam train, but man, what a try. I think it was Marchant, Farrell, Steward. Was it Dombrandt as well? I can't even remember. Yeah, it was brutal stuff. He just kept going. Just kept going and going. The conversion hits the post, but it's 12 points to 5, so decent wee lead for the Scots. Bit of a worldie of a try. And they were kicking a fair few high balls to him, interestingly, the English. I guess they were trying to not kick the ball to Stuart Hogg because he's got the biggest boot of the Scottish back three. Duhan doesn't really kick it, and Kyle Steyn's boot is like not the best. So I guess that made a bit of sense. I mean, Russell was in the backfield a fair bit, fielding the kicks as well, and his boot's all right. But obviously they were trying to keep it away from Hogg. I feel like they were trying to go for Duhan, but because I don't think of him as necessarily a great high ball specialist, but he's such a big guy that he can often just get above people to catch the ball anyway. But he was doing all right. So, interesting as well after seeing him charge a kick return back at them that they kept going for him. But they did, and I guess if you don't give him enough space to get ahead of steam up, you can kind of isolate him anyway. 37 minutes though, Malins gets his second of the game. And some pretty nice hands from the English guys in the build-up. I mean, a nice inside ball to Marchant gets them over the advantage line, England. And then I think it's the next phase. Some quick hands like Chessum. Good decision to play the ball out the back to Genge, to Steward, Ludlam. Ludlam carries, draws, and then lets Malins go. So another misconversion, but 12 points to 10. It's proper game on, and then a penalty before half-time does see England in front. So it's like the kind of, I guess, second lead change if you're starting from 0-all. This means England take a 1 point lead into the shed. So it's a real tight one. But like I mentioned, kicking was certainly a bigger factor in this game compared to the previous one. So like half time, kicks from hand at 21 England, 23 Scotland. Where for context, the previous game, Wales against Ireland, was 25-29 at full time for kicks from hand. So you've almost had as many kicks in the first half of this game as the total kicks in the first game. So yeah, just different styles of playing, right? And it's kind of not surprising with Poortvliet because that's the way his Leicester Tigers team played as well. But I mean, possession is 58-42 to England. Territory is 66-34. So that kicking, Stewart's got a massive boot on him. Will certainly get some good pay. Tackles, man. Scotland's made 122 to England's 57. So you're kind of wondering, man, are Scotland going to have the legs to go after, if they have to make another 100 tackles in the second half? How are they going to manage this? England attack the second half early. They get themselves a nice attacking line-out ball. Not real clean, and they do concede a breakdown penalty, so kind of a little bit of a chance wasted. But then a few minutes later, they get another attacking line-out. This time they get it right. They decide not to maul it. Like they kind of look like they're going to shape to maul, but they get the ball out. It's Genge to Curry. They go through a couple of phases, and then back to Genge, who manages to power over. So England extend that lead, which they had just taken in the first half. So it's 20 points to 12. And I guess given how much ball and territory they've had, you're kind of wondering at that point, is England going to push on and kind of, get themselves more than this 8-point lead that they've got at the moment? Well, not really, because Scotland hit pretty much right back. It's some nice kind of wide ball. They're able to kind of use the width, the Scots, which is, they got some good crisp passes of the ball, including Finn Russell in that squad. But it's ultimately just kind of loose ball that bobbles out the back of the ruck. And then Ben White, with the presence of mind to, he basically just spins and he manages to find himself a bit of space. He beats Steward, and suddenly you're back to a 1-point game, 20 points to 19. I'm pretty sure that one started from England dropping the restart after scoring the try. Like, the restart is such a key one. It's an area Scotland's had trouble with in the past, but this time it's England who kind of get burned in that area. 10 minutes later, England go pretty close. Chessum with a big carry. Smith looks like he's going to go close, but Tuipulotu does well to drive him into touch. So England will look back at that 58-minute chance to be one that could have got them, an extended lead. But Scotland blew one equally a couple of minutes later, and this is really where they started. From maybe about the hour mark, Scotland distinctively seemed to want to run the ball out their own 22 because they were being pushed back so much. You're losing the kicking duel, so why not, man? I mean, Steyn had a good line break after, again, they spun the ball wide. He got it to Hogg. He was running a support line for Hogg, but Hogg's pass kind of over Steyn's shoulder. It's a tough one. Maybe you expect a guy at this level to take that, but they had numbers, the Scots. So a blown opportunity each way. 67 minutes. Scotland have another shot after a cross kick to Steyn, but he can't handle it. So they go back for a penalty, which they slot. So it's back to a 1-pointer. 23 points to 22. It's kind of waiting for either side to take this game by the scruff of the neck. I mean, Finn Russell kicks it out on the full. England push. But they can't They can't get a score. And interestingly, it's another time when Scotland decides to run out their own 22 again. That kind of leads to the next Duhan van der Merwe try. Steyn again goes down the right wing. They shift it left. And then, I mean, you've got to give credit to some of the Scottish guys for the quick hands. Ritchie Gray, similar to what I guess Chessum had done in the first half for England. Ritchie Gray kind of tip pass essentially to Fagerson, and Fagerson gives it to Van der Merwe. Van der Merwe still got a little bit to do, and he powers over for the try. He gets man of the match, kind of rightly so, I guess. I mean, geez, without either of those bits of magic, Scotland aren't where they are in this game. So yeah, man, 29 points to 23. That is the final score, but there's still time for England to come back. They do go through 11 phases, do England. They get advantage. They offer touch. The crowd are really getting alive. They got a line-out, which they go to the front, which is maybe the easiest area for the Scottish to defend, but it's the safest area in terms of the line-out throw. They go through 8 phases before Jamie Ritchie manages to win a breakdown penalty. And that's enough because there's only like a few seconds left on the clock. So the Scottish guys run it down before tapping it and putting the thing into touch. So yeah, man, it's a pretty crazy game. Lead changes and an interesting shift in the Scots, I felt, backing themselves to run it back at the English, seeing how as they were struggling for territory with the English kicking game. So, yeah, man, fun game. Run meters finished 551 to 398 in favour of England. Kicks from hand is 36-40. Scotland kick it a wee bit more, but like I mentioned, they were having to try and get out of their own territory as much as they could. Possession 57-43 to England. Territory 70-30 to England, but clean breaks 6-2 to the Scots, often finding that space. Defenders beaten 22-20, so that's pretty close, but England do have a couple more. But man, look at the tackles. 110 by England, which is not a huge amount. I've seen fewer tackles in a game for sure, but you compare it to Scotland's 227. This is a game, despite the Duhan van der Merwe tries, which get all the glory, it's a game which is ultimately won on defence for the Scots. Tackling at 91%, which is really, really top class. Individuals, Steward, 89 metres, 5 defenders beaten, big old boot, but 4 tackles attempted, 2 made, and if I'm not mistaken, 2 of those missed directly led to tries. I know Steve Poortvliet kind of talked up a lot of aspects of his game, including his defence. I still feel like the tackling, it's hard for a fullback because you're often in do or die situations, but the tackling is an area where you need him to make at least one of those. Duhan van der Merwe, 98 metres, 2 clean breaks, 2 tries, 10 defenders beaten, probably 4 or 5 of them in that first try. Proper unit. Matt Fagerson, 27 out of 28 tackles. That's a Herculean shift. Ben Curry, 13 tackles. I think he's England's top tackler, but also misses 4. So, yeah, man. Crazy start to the Six Nations for these two teams. Now, for Scotland, they've got Wales at home. So, for Scotland, geez, that's a game you need to win. You need to back this game up. I mean, Jamie Ritchie literally said in the post-match just now, they've been in this position before. So they're already not focusing too much about this. They need to get next week right. And I wholeheartedly agree. For England, they have got a chance to reset when they face Italy at home next week. I'll be keen to see if Poortvliet kind of sticks with the same lineup or does he kind of vary things up a little bit. But yeah, Scotland and England, they like a bit of an arm wrestle, don't they? So that's the way it went. Well done, Scotland. Set themselves up. Now they need to push on. And for England, like I said, a chance to reset. We'll see how the Italians go up against the French tomorrow. But yes, I better go feed these children. They've been waiting for the last 14 minutes for me to finish up here. And I'm probably going to take a nap later. But you guys take care. Let me know your thoughts on the game. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Yeah.